Hey guys, we're here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Garmarna, Förbundet, out November 6th on Season of Mist. This album has 8 tracks, 37 minutes in length, and this is the band's 7th studio album. I discovered the band through this record and I was immediately seduced by its sound, by its experience, by its atmosphere. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love the fluidity that the album has. When you look at the structure that they built for this album, it's just absolutely dynamic and fluid. The songs move from one to the other without you even noticing that one song ended and the next one is starting. You're absolutely engulfed by everything that is happening and you're losing yourself in that structure and that fluidity that the album has. And the next thing you know, you open your eyes, you're in the last song of the record. So that is really a testament to how fluid, how dynamic, how well constructed this album is. Then when you move into the overall soundscape, this album is rich. That's perhaps the best word to describe it, because it's definitely a folk album. That is the main ingredient, if you will. But these guys are not afraid to go into the past and bring out old elements and bring out new elements. I mean, you would expect to see on an album like this acoustic guitars, hurdy-gurdy, violin, and you're going to see those elements present in huge doses throughout the record. Things that I wasn't necessarily expecting was a lot of electronic elements infused into that sound. Rock, indie, bluegrass, country, all of those other things sprinkled in order to give the tracks flavor, in order to give the whole record a different balance, a different sound, a different approach, a different experience, if you will. And they blended them to perfection. Not in a million years would I think electronic elements on a record that sounds like this, that's built this way, would work. They seem worlds apart. But the way they blended them in with the hurdy-gurdy, with the violin, with the acoustic guitar, it's almost like it's not even there. You really have to pay attention. You really have to dig deep to feel and understand the essence of those electronic elements and what they're doing to the overall atmosphere of the record, what they're doing to the overall soundscape, to the overall presence that the tracks have. It's so subtle, but so well done. That really increases the overall experience, increases the sound and increases the volume that the tracks have, and it definitely increases the magnitude of those same tracks. Now when you get into the vocals, Emma is absolutely magnificent. This is a vocally driven record. Everything else is there to push the vocals to the forefront, to give that main stage, that podium, but the vocals are the lighthouse and the fog that is this record. When you think of this album, you think of the atmosphere that it has and you see yourself lost in it. Emma's voice is that beacon of light that you always find with every single song. You're able to find it and guide you through the path of traveling through that track. Her voice is beautiful and definitely, like I said, the driving force behind the album. Now, outside of her voice, I really like everything that they did with the vocals, because they included some backing vocals, some layers, some male vocals as well. So there's a lot of flavor, there's a lot of different layers as far as the vocals are concerned. This is not necessarily just one size fits all from beginning to the end. You're going to get the same approach, but you're going to get different levels, you're going to get different changes, different dynamic approaches to the vocals that add a different experience in how the tracks come across and how they sound and how they feel. So I love that they did all of that, because you have that present already on the musical side of things, because there's a lot of layers, there's a lot of moving pieces. You needed the same effort on the vocals in order to give sometimes a little bit more substance, because her voice is so magnificent, but it's at the same time, it's so light that it levitates. So you need a little bit of heaviness, you need a little bit of weight to bring it down. Adding the layers, adding the backing vocals really does that to the overall vocal tracks for this record. This album is incredible. I really love what this album has to offer. Definitely one of the most interesting, different, unique albums that I've heard this year. That is without a doubt. The ability that they had to create a very complex album that sounds so simple is outstanding. Outstanding. When you listen to this record, it feels just easy, straightforward. The simplicity is palpable. But when you start to really dig deep into the record, you realize that this is a very complex, very interesting, multi-layered album. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Dagen Flyr, a song that alternates this folky, uplifting vibe with a more somber, dark atmosphere. It has these two momentums. It has this peak, this huge peak, and this really deep valley built into how the song is constructed. the electronic elements are in the backdrop, and you notice them more during the more somber periods of the song, not necessarily through the more uplifting vocal and folky elements that the track has. But during those somber moments, you could really hear the electronic elements in the background, sometimes almost having a psychedelic feel and how they sound and how they come across. But they're so subdued, they're so hidden in the track that you really have to make an effort to really capture that essence that they have, and then realize what they offer to the song. And they offer a lot of darkness and how this song feels. The backing vocals that they used on this track is a perfect example of how you can add volume, how you can add presence, because otherwise this track would absolutely levitate. Her vocals are so clear, so crisp, so clean, that you needed something to give the song a little bit more of a presence, to bring the track down more, specifically because she's using her voice during the darker periods of the song. So you need something infused in there to bring it even further down, to kind of match the atmosphere of the song with the atmosphere of the vocals, and that they did throughout this track. Next, Lussi Lilla. It's a vocal driven track. I mean, I could say that about every single song on this album, but this one I really felt that the vocals really jumped perhaps a further step into the forefront to really push the track forward. It really controls everything that has happened. The music feels a little bit more subdued, a little bit more controlled, creating a very cool, even level bass line that allows the vocals to be on the forefront, to be the igniters of how this song moves up and down. The track is still very dynamic, but it's not the music that's creating the dynamic elements like it was in the previous track. On this one, I felt the vocals, the changes, the styles, the approaches is really what's changing. It's what giving the song the right dynamic components in order for the track not to feel linear from beginning all the way to the end. So really a different approach, using the same elements but doing them in a different way to still allow the song to be dynamic, fluid, but at the same time be very beautiful and balanced. Last but not least, Grav. This is the last song on the record, and what a closing track it is. It's the shortest track on the album, and it's pretty much just a vocal track. It has very little ambiance behind it. It has a very smooth atmosphere that hides itself behind it, but it's really a vocally driven track that it's the perfect closing track. This song really enhances the beauty of Emma's voice, and it really brings to the forefront. It really showcases the simplicity, but at the same time how complex this album is. Everything is present in this song. So when you look at this track, you can't just look on how short it is. You have to look at the impact that it has, how it's put together, how it sounds, how it comes across, and how well it represents the overall album. Everything that you heard, everything that was built up until this point culminates with this last track. This last track is the conclusion of the record, both in a musical sense and in a vocal sense. This is it, guys. This is Garmarna with Förbundet, once again out November 6th on Season of Myths. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.